boss, you just playing boss. Pop him in his head, pray on his corpse, knee on his neck and his sternum. Asking for forgiveness when I'm done, I'ma burn him. You dancing with the demons. You ain't a boss, you just playing boss. Pop him in his head, pray on his corpse, knee on his neck and his sternum. Asking for forgiveness when I'm done, I'ma burn him. You dancing with the demons. You ain't a boss, you just playing boss.
That's a female cat up there, right?
Yeah. Her name is Sekhmet.
Okay.
I want to open up, so you know how we do, man. We open up and pay respect to the ancestors in the composition. The moment of silence for the ancestors. Give thanks and praises to all the ancestors and ancestors, known and unknown. Ashe. This is it. This is it. Just blocking. Today, we got a very special presentation. This is like the end of the year joint, you know, so I wanted to, you know, end it on a real positive note, you know, and I thought it was only right to end it on with something matriarchal, you know, because of what's happening with 2012 and all that. They said, you know, the end of the world and all that, the shift and all that stuff's supposed to be happening. So, you know, we know that the world ain't ending, you know, and a lot of the stuff we hear is propaganda, but we do know that it is gonna be a shift, you know, and that shift is gonna be a conscious shift. And that shift is gonna be from the patriarchal that we are practicing now back to the matriarchal. So, you know, on that note, you know, I knew it was one brother out there, you know, that was pushing this information, man, you know, and I thought that I would connect with him. We talked before about coming up here doing a presentation for the class, and we finally got it to happen, you know what I mean? So, you know, I'm not gonna go, you know, too much, you know, more, because my man just wrote in. He's ready to get it on and popping, you know. So I'm gonna introduce Brother Tahuti. I wanna read the bio first. The Black Power General. The Black Power General, Natural Tahuti, has been on the front lines for more than 33 years, teaching the science of God and African history. Now he also includes her story, excuse me. Brother Natural Tahuti is a community activist working alongside gangs and reducing gang violence. Natural Tahuti has worked in the field of counseling, and he is a certified alcohol and substance abuse clinician. Natural Tahuti is very dedicated to his work and craft. Currently, he is at the front line and on the warpath to restore the black woman's honor, teaching that the black woman is God. So that was the bio, and with no further ado, I'm gonna introduce my man, Brother Natural Tahuti.
I'm really glad to be here, right? It's been in the makings for a long time. We have been talking about coming up here to Syracuse and dropping this information. Now, how many people are familiar with me? You see me on YouTube? A few of you. And those that don't, you know, let me just reintroduce myself. My name is the General, Natural Tahuti, AKA the son of Sekhmet, AKA the seed of Kalling. Now, Sekhmet is a deity from ancient Kemet. We all know Kemet, right? So I don't gotta go there. So, in ancient Kemet, Sekhmet, her titles are Earth, meaning great. She is the mother, the great mother, but she's also known as the destroyer. When Sekhmet comes, she comes to tear your butt up. But she's also the most kindest and the most lovingest deity in the whole cosmology. I brought you a presentation tonight, and the presentation is called Revolution is Our Only Solution. If you're familiar with me on YouTube, you know I take a lot of punishment. But I had already knew forthwith when I started teaching about the woman being God that I was going to be kicked out of the boys' club. I knew that. And I knew that I was going to take a lot of punishment. But I'm a revolutionary. And revolutionaries are not in popular contests. I'm not here for a popularity contest. I'm here to manifest the truth that was given to me by my ancestors. I'm standing on the shoulders of guys like Dr. Khalid Muhammad, Nat Turner, John Henry Clark, Malcolm X, okay, Harriet Tubman. I'm standing on those shoulders. So, you know, it's in my dedication, in my heart, to bring you the absolute truth as I know it. You see? And so, this particular paradigm, a lot of the men, of course, they have no tolerance for it or no understanding. But I'm telling you, you know this stuff. It's already encoded in your DNA. And we just have to remember. You see? And so once you start going into the science of it, and you put aside your male ego, you're gonna fall right in tune with it, man. And so the reason why I brought you the lecture called Revolution is Our Solution, because this is not for sissies. People think worshiping the goddess or the woman is goddess for sissies. No, this is revolution. And it has been revolution ever since they overthrew the temples of the Great Mother. Ever since they began to subjugate the woman. This has been going on for over 4 to 5, maybe 6,000 years. As a matter of fact, that paradigm is older than the paradigm of us having war with Europeans. As a matter of fact, it was because of the overthrowing of the Great Mother, sexism, that racism came about. You see, we have a beautiful past, a glorious past, but we also have an ugly one. And who is responsible? Us men. Now, I'm a man's man. There's nothing sissy about me. I'm a revolutionary. I'm on the front line. And I love women. I don't do this to get women. I don't have no problem with getting women. I always was able to get women. And I don't do this for no money. Should I be compensated? Sure, I should be compensated like the rest of those guys. But I'm telling you, I will go anywhere to go and teach this. And I take my own money most of the time. You see what I'm saying to you? Because this is very, very important for us men, mostly, to get this. Now, the women, they already know it, a lot of them. They knew it a long time ago. They couldn't put their hands on it. Because women study us men. They watch us. And they see the little mistakes we make. You see? But it's through our egotism that we get it mixed up. And so in all of our ancient teachings, all of the mystery teachings in ancient Kemet, these temples were teaching us men how to tame masculine energy. Masculine energy must be tamed. Because if you don't tame the masculine energy, we become what the white man is. That's how the white man became what he is. because we was that first. We had a God complex. We wanted to lord and control over everything. But all of the paradigms, Christ, Buddha, Krishna, whether they existed as physical men or not, these paradigms exist to teach men how to tame their masculine energy, and to tame the masculine energy means that you must be initiated into the feminine principles. Now, this does not make you a sissy, because you start to get in touch and in tune with your femininity. You don't think we have it? We come from women. So anyway, I'm going to do a little something different, because what I prepared was kind of advanced. I want to just show you a little bit of evidence before I go into the lecture that I prepared. Because you need evidence. You need evidence that the woman is God. So let's go into the etymology, because I get accused all the time with brothers saying that, how can the woman be God? God is a masculine term. Then they accuse me of saying, well, God is a supernatural being. And I'm telling you, you got a Eurocentric viewpoint of what God is. And so in order for us to understand God from the African concept, we must go back to the origin of where the word came from. So, in the etymology of the word God in the Old English, the supreme being, deity, the Christian God, image of God, godlike person, so forth and so on. Now, from its Proto-Germanic, it came from this word here called Guthan, right? And then the Guthan came from the Dutch and the Old French, which was God, or the Old High German, Gott. And also spelled that way, Gott, G-O-T-T. And none of the stuff that I'm saying, I want you to take on face value. I want you to go back and research it yourself. Now, in the Old Norse, this word, Gott, derived from the word gut, and got, and gop. And then, very closely, pay attention to hut. The G is silent. The G is silent, but in the word hut, the trilateral root of the word is H-U-T. And the H and the letter N is interchangeable in Proto-Semitic languages and earlier languages. So the word hut would also be the word nuts in ancient Kemet. Follow me now. That which is invoked, okay? To call. Now, in the Sanskrit, you have the word hutta, meaning invoke, right? And then we trace it to the root, which is gu, to call, to invoke. Now, but some trace it to gutu, meaning to pour, from the root gu, to pour a libation. The source of that is from the Greek, which is from the word king, meaning to pour. Also in the phrase quote. This is a borrowed word from ancient Kemet, meaning Gia, that means the earth, poured earth. It refers to a burial mound. You see that burial mound? This is a burial mound. Now use your imagination. What ideal was the ancestors giving you? When you look at that burial mound, what does it look like to you? Anyone in the audience?
It looked like
a womb.
Yeah.
And pregnancy. So let's go further. I'm taking you somewhere. So it refers to the burial mound, right? So forth and so on. All right, let's move on. Now, originally, it was what's called a neuter noun in the Germanic language. A neuter noun meant that it was both male and female. When you trace the word kut, you take it back to this word here. The word God is derived from kut, having several meanings. Kut was a name of the oldest great mother in Akrabis, capital of the 10th nome of Lower Northern Kemet. we trace the name to an actual black woman. The word God traces back to the name of an actual black woman or a group of black women who personalized or actualized this particular star. And the symbol of Isis in heaven was the star Sirius. Okay, I don't want to read all of that, but I want to get to the fruit of it. As the light giver at this season of the year, she was called Kut as the mighty earth goddess. Her name was also Usurp, meaning greater. So, she was called Kut. So again, we trace the name God back to an actual black woman who was or a group of women who personified the star Sirius, Serapis, or however, you understand what I'm talking about. You understand what I'm saying? Because our ancestors understood. Why did they look to the stars? Did they worship the stars? They understood that the stars were us. Because we manifested from a celestial plane down to this earthly plane. You see, our ancestors taught that each and every one of us manifested from a macrocosmic plane, meaning the big universe. Right? We are stars. We're star people. We come from the sun, we come from stars. And we manifested in stages into the human form. The animal form as well. Because the animals, the birds, the trees, and everything of this planet is us. We've been in every stage of it. And that's why it's a mother, not a father. Now, in the name Krishna and Christ, I'm going to give you some understanding here. It derives from the Egyptian word Kross, right? And they found this on Egyptian monuments as Kross or Nebkras, meaning Lord Christ. Kross can be further derived from the two names of the great Mama, as Kar and As. You see in the name Kross, you have Kar and you have As. Now you understand in the middle letter there were no vowels. So we understand the name As to be what? Who knows? I said. And the word Ka, right, was the jet black virgin mother, terrestrial mother, or the heart soul mother earth, who names yields also this name, Cardia, heart, core, care, cheer. And the goddess As is Isis. You see? So I'm giving you and showing you how when you trace back the names of God, they go back to that of a woman. Now, what does that leave the man? Say, brother, oh, the woman is God. You're trying to make the woman greater than the man. Right? No, I'm not. That puts us in the best possible position possible. Because if the woman is God and she's my mother, what does that make me? That makes me the son of God. And that is a worthy position. What do sons do? If you say my father's a punk, I might laugh at you. My father ain't no punk. My father will kick your butt. But you say my mother's on welfare, I might kick your butt. How many people remember that? Say something about your mama. See, you know this stuff already. Because when you were born, you had your spirituality. But you got tricked into religion. You wasn't born knowing no damn Jesus. You wasn't born knowing no Allah. You wasn't born knowing Jah Rastafari. You wasn't born knowing any of that. But you was born knowing Ma. And I don't care what culture you come from. You could be Chinese or Japanese, and you know the word Ma. Because that's natural. We come from the mother. So let's move on. I'm going to show you real quick, and then I'm going to get to the lecture that I came to give you. I'm going to show you what happens. In a cult, there is a truism that as the new religion replaces the older religion, the deities of the old religion becomes the devils of the new religion. This is because the priests of the new religions, in an effort to attract new followers, attempt to discredit the deities of the established religions. Another popular name for the devil is Lucifer, who was known as the light bringer. Now, in Latin, Lucifer means morning star. The morning star is the planet Venus, which is named after a Roman goddess, who was originally a tribal pre-Roman great mother in ancient times. In many cultures, planet Venus is named after the goddess like Ishtar, or her name is also Astar or Asherah or Asherah. And she was known, they disguised her in the Bible as the great whore. In the Bible, when they're talking about the great whore, they're talking about the mother, because they had to discredit the mother who was God. They had to discredit the great mother who was God, the African mother. Okay? Interestingly, Jesus calls himself the bright morning star. And that's why you never see Jesus dressed as a man. You always see him dressed as a woman. Because they had to pacify the people of the new religion. When you look at all of them, Moses, all of them dressed like women. Now that's a secret that, and now let's move on, okay? The word devil comes from the ancient Indo-European word devi. Simple, it's right in your face. It comes from the word devi, which means goddess. Deva, diva, devi, same word. You understand? And it means both goddess and women. It also is the word that we get for the words divine and divinity. Okay. Y'all familiar with this sign? Baphomet. You know, the devil worshippers. Baphomet, Dr. Hugh Shufield, a Dead Sea scholar, and used the Atabat cipher to discover the hidden meaning of the word Baphomet, used by the Knights Templars. The Atabat cipher is a reverse alphabet cipher. The word Baphomet translates to the word Sophia. Sophia was a Greek goddess. Okay? So, what they did, the Patriarchy, was they turned the names of the great mother, the goddess, into the devil. Because they had to get you away from worshiping the mother. They had to stomp out the religion of the great mother. Now, I'm going to go further real quick. Oh, I got to go through this one real quick. Then I'll get to that. Allah. We got to deal with Allah. Right? It seems unlikely that the name Allah comes from Al-Ilaha, the God, but rather from the Aramaic and Syriac Allah. Allah was the Babylonian goddess, meaning God or the God. The final A in the name Allah was originally the definitive article the, and is regularly dropped when Syriac words and names are borrowed into Arabic. But what the scholars of Islam has ingenuously omitted is that the Semites' name Allah or Allah is not a masculine syntactic form, not at all. The Semitic name Allah is the female god by the name Allah. So we have been tricked again. Allah is the Igbo Nigerian goddess of the earth. She was reduced to the daughters of the supreme god Tuku, and is considered to be the mother of all things. She is both the goddess of fertility and the goddess of death. She gives birth in the beginning and welcomes the dead back to her womb, the same way the goddess Alat was reduced to the daughters of Allah. And this is a symbol of her right there. Now, let's get into the name in Arabic. That's known in Arabic as Nuqtas, along with Kasras, Dumas, and Fatas, were not in the Kufic script. In order to understand the Quran, in order to understand Islam from its originality, we have to go into the script and what it was revealed in, not into the Arabic of today. The Arabic of today has been transformed and transmuted, but the original Arabic that they spoke in Prophet Muhammad's day was called the Kufic. So this is how they trick you, these racist Arabs and Islamic scholars. So, not in the Kufic script, which is what the tribe of the Kross used. Muhammad was supposedly from the tribe of the Kross. Therefore, the word Allah could not be distinguished from the word Allah. And since Allah existed as a feminine deity before the added dots and slashes, she is older. Of course, patrilineal societies will say Allah is the daughter of Allah. Again, look at the word Khalifa. It ends in what is called the Tar Mabuta, and is a feminine word, just as the name Allah ends with a Tar Mabuta and is feminine as well. This is what is known as a Tar Mabuta. This little circle and those dots, that's called the Tar Mabuta. The Tar Mabuta, any name that ends with a Tar Mabuta makes this word a feminine word. Latif, Latifa is feminine. Latif is masculine. Jamil is masculine, yet Jamila is feminine. Khalif is masculine and Khalifa is feminine. Now look at the word Allah. It ends the same. Allah is feminine, as is Allah, which was worshipped by Muhammad's future father-in-law, whose son's name was Abdullah, not Abdullah. So they, okay, let me move on. But let me go right back real quick, because the Islamic scholars, they don't teach you about Allah. But then the scholars say that Allah was the daughters of Allah. Yet the Quran tells you that Allah begets not, was not begotten. He was not begotten, nor does he beget. When they talk to the Christians, and when the Christians say that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, the Muslims say Allah begets and was not begotten and begets not. So how in the hell can Allah have daughters? You understand? Am I going too fast? Okay, let's move on. Okay, and real quick, so you can see the science in this. Biology. Everyone starts out as a female. The XX chromosome is the largest in the chromosomal scheme of things. Men have XY chromosome. Women have XX chromosome. The Y chromosome is actually a degenerate chromosome. It is defective. It's missing one of its legs. So 2.8% of the genetic material is missing out of it. Here you go right here. You don't have to take my word for it. That's it under a microscope. This is the X chromosome, and this is the Y chromosome. The Y chromosome is responsible for what makes a man. You see? So the X chromosome has more regions. It's fluffier, meaning more euchromatin. You understand me? And when you look at the Y chromosome, it is crumbled in size. You see? So I'm not making this stuff up. I'm a man. Why would I denigrate myself? I'm not denigrating black men. I'm only putting the straightening out on the truth. And if we say we seek truth, then we must bear witness to the truth. The black woman came before us. She was here thousands of years before we got here. She is our creator, and we must have reverence and respect for her. And if we don't get back into the matriarchal, we will suffer and be destroyed right along with these white homosexuals. Don't tell me about no damn male prophets and male gods, because we not worshiping penises. We worship the yoni, the black woman. We come out of her, and we spend the rest of our lives trying to get back in her. So, now, real quick, the early stages of the child. Check this out. During the first the first few weeks of gestation, what's called the zygote, this is the male and that's the female. Look at this right here. No difference. I didn't make that up. When SRY gene, go research this, SRY is testosterone. When testosterone begins to secrete, this here, what is called a genital tuber, but we know it as a clitoris, right? When the genital tuba, it begins to inflate. And this is what you have: A, B, C, D, and E. But still, you're not even wholly a boy yet, a man yet, because the gonad glands are located in the abdomen. So they have to descend and herniate, and that's how you get balls. You get testicles. But they're situated right here, where the ovaries are. See, male and female are really like almost the same. But we begin female. I didn't make it up. I'm only giving you what I studied. Okay, and now this is the complete product. And I want you to look right here. You got a reminder of who you are and where you come from. You see right here, from your anus, go home and look at that tonight. Go home and get that little mirror and go down there and look, investigate, and you'll see that you have a line all the way up your penis. Don't make me smack this girl out you. You see? So I didn't make this stuff up. So now, therefore, when you see them banging on me on YouTube, you can say I done showed and proved it. We began that way. You see? And that's why you get that foreskin cut, circumcision. Because that used to form the lips of the labia. Now you understand why you got that extra skin. Because it used to be lips. Okay. I'm not going to go into that. I ain't even going to go into that one, no. Now, let's get to the lecture I came here to bring you. Everybody all right? Wow, that's some deep stuff there. Y'all all right?
Yeah, we all right.
Yes, sir. Okay, here we go. Now that we got through giving you the evidence, I gave you enough evidence for you to go back to research. I gave you enough evidence right now for you to say, brother got a serious point here. You understand? This makes you have a little more understanding of who you are, your relationship to the universe, and most importantly, the relationship to your woman, to your mother. Very important. This doesn't make us less important. We are very important as men. You understand what I'm saying? We are very important. This does not give the woman a free ticket to go do anything she want to go do. She's got a job too. You see what I'm saying to you? Now, revolution is our only solution. We're living on a planet, and the planet is totally being destroyed. What is destroying this planet is the male patriarchy. We have to go back and understand that worshiping the goddess is not about sissy stuff. This is revolution. Strap your boots on, because this is revolution. And you'll understand when you step in my shoes and you start promoting this, you'll see the punishment that you take from your own people, because they have no understanding. You see, all of us here, if you are conscious, understand this about yourself. No matter how much you know, you're sitting in here, if you're sitting in these chairs right now, you are the returned ancestors. You have been here on this planet and you had a job. Before your job was finished, you died off. Now you're back, because the soul never dies. The body transmutes and you come back to another body until you finish your job. We all have a job to do. This is revolution. Revolution. Brother Bob. See my brother up there? My brother right there. Yes, sir. What is a revolution? A revolution is known as a war, known as violence. But a good definition of revolution is a fundamental change in power or organizational structures that take place in a relatively short period of time. That is the key word here. A relatively short period of time. So revolution is a fundamental change that takes place in a relatively short period of time. So, if you change your name from Bobby to Shabaka, that's revolution. If you are now questioning your Christianity and your Islam and your Judaism, and you're starting to think about African spirituality, you are participating in revolution. If you are out teaching our children about African science, you are a revolutionary. Because when you change your name from Bobby to Tahuti, your friends will look at you like you are fruity. They will look at you like you are crazy. And you know what I'm saying. Your family will disown you. This is revolution. When your family start to look at you like, yo, that nigga crazy. He talking about his name is Shaka Muka Berashango. You know what I mean? Shaka Musa Berashango. Your family start looking at you like you crazy. But you stand up because you absolutely believe in the power of your name. You absolutely believe in the power of your ancestors. And you're standing up on the front line no matter what. Let's move on. Kali Ma. This is the original, one of the original photos of the goddess Kali. The goddess Kali comes from out of the Indus Kush Valley. That's India. The original inhabitants of the Indus Kush Valley were Africans. They were Kushites. Understand that Kushites went all over the planet, and everywhere they went, they took Kush with them, and they also took their spiritual system. So this is Kali, Kali Ma, the beautiful one, the great black mama, means complete change in a small amount of time. Revolution. So the goddess is revolution, because it means change in a small amount of time. Didn't I just say that revolution is a change in power that takes place in a relatively short period of time? So worshiping the goddess is not sissy stuff, because it takes a real man to give honor to his mother. It takes a real man to protect his woman and to give honor to his woman. I didn't say submit to her and be no damn slave or no sissy. No, to give her genuine, unconditional love and to respect her decisions, to respect her mind, not to look at her like she's a piece of flesh, like she's an ass. That's the way slave masters look at women. That's the way slave masters look at men. Because when they had us on the auction block, the first thing they did was look at your butt to tell your worth. And if you had a nice, round, robust booty, you was a good slave. And so today, we have that same behavior. We look at women, and we see good booty, we think we got a good woman. You see? And we skip all over her intellect. We skip all over her spiritual side, her nurturing side, even her leadership qualities. Oh no, she's a woman. She can't, because the Bible tells us a woman shouldn't say anything in the church unless she asks her husband. Like she's not equal to you. She made you. You didn't make her. Let's move on. So, this is what Kali looks like today. Because the Aryans, which were Iranians, came down from Iran. They were Europeans, and they came down into India, and they colonized, and they changed up the spiritual system. When you see Kali, her name means black. Total black. And you see her standing on top of a white man. She's standing on a white man. But that white man can represent any man. Any man who is outside of the natural order of things, he becomes white. It don't matter what your skin color is. If your mentality is that of a savage, then you represent the man that is standing up under her foot. So in the age of Kali, Kali has returned back on the scene to destroy the white male patriarchy. The next sacred icon we in Kalling is an awesome portrayal of revolution. Kali Ma, carved from jet black onyx stone and delicately trimmed in bright red. We are informed by Hindu Kushite scholars that these colors are favored by Kali Ma because all the colors of nature's spectrum disappear into the dark of night to be born again at dawn. See, so don't think that we worship no damn idols, because we didn't. This is an educational system. And she is not mythological. She represents our mothers that walk the planet. So, 2, do all things enter Kali Ma to be reincarnated? When you're born from the darkness of your mother's womb, you're coming from Kali. Kali is the great mother. So she represents all women. She represents the universe. She represents the dark energy. She represents the melanin. She represents the mind. She represents the sun. She represents the moon and the stars. She represents all of those things because they all come from her womb. The darkness. And when you die, you go from the womb to the goddamn tomb. That's why tomb and womb rhyme with one another. Because the tomb was always the representation of the great mother's womb. You return back to the womb. You was born from the darkness, to the darkness you shall go back. So, who got some water in here? Yeah, let me get that. Okay, so to all things enter Kali Ma, to be reincarnated and come forth from the beautiful one, the newness of life. And just as the red hot magma of the Precambrian era, meaning the very early stages of creation. At the embryonic stages of the world's creation spewed forth like an ocean of blood at the moment of birth. So does the scientific symbol of Kali Ma, represented by the color red, signifying the natural forces which produce earthquakes, erupting volcanoes, and catastrophic floods. For she is the emblematic of nature in all its aspects, including the cycle of life and death. And that's why Kali is known as the Great Destroyer, because she represents life, but she also represents death. She represents the corrector. So all of the scriptures that was talking about the grateful coming wrath of Allah, and the grateful day of the Lord, and the end of the world. This is Kali Ma renewing the planet, because we are now living on a planet that is totally oppressed. The sky is polluted, that's oppression. The oceans are polluted, that's oppression. The animals are out of their natural ecological system, that's oppression. White folks are experimenting on animals, that's oppression. They are genetically modifying organisms that grow from the earth. That is oppression. And no matter if you're red, black, or goddamn candy white, they are oppressing all of the people on the planet, even themselves. So when you have that, the universe has to compensate itself for love of itself. The same way you do. When you eat some stuff, don't you go to the toilet bowl? You gotta get it out. And then sometimes you're going through revolution when you're on the toilet, because you gotta strain and get it out. You done put something wrong in your body, because you're straining to get it out. Because if it was right for you, you wouldn't be straining. You understand what I'm saying to you? So now the planet is straining. The planet is straining because of all of the oppression on the planet. And it began with us. And so the white man is just a manifestation of us. They are a reflection of us. Because we started the damn corruption. Everybody want to hear only the romanticized version of our story. Well, it ain't always glory. We do have an ugly side. And each and every one of us men and women in this room right now know that we have a battle going on, that we are struggling with the little person on this side of the shoulder and the little person on this side of the shoulder. This one tells us to do the right thing, and this one, damn it, tells us to do the wrong thing. And we struggle with it because it's nature. That's why the planet is crooked. It wobbles. It's not straight. Because there's a little crookedness in the universe. And that crookedness is in us too. So we are struggling and we are battling with ourselves to find righteousness within ourselves. But sometimes we fall short. We fall short. And this is why our ancestors had these great temples and these great affirmations and these great philosophies and systems of initiation to help us out in our crookedness as we wobble, as we rotate around, because we are all time traveling. We are all stars traveling through time. Okay? So, let's move on. At times, Kalima was depicted through gruesome imagery to illustrate India's Kushite master scientist's understanding of the reality that through Mother Nature may sometimes be made manifested in very harsh ways, such as earthquakes. The most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that America is under divine judgment. And he said that it will be rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes that will destroy white America. It can rain so hard your airplanes will never fly. It'll snow so damn hard you can't, public transportation will stop. It'll get so damn cold your missiles won't go nowhere. And that is what we are facing now. That's why you see birds falling out the sky and hurricanes and tsunamis and all of this. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. So, violent storms, floods and plagues and drought, death as well as life has a necessary role to play in the animal kingdom in order to maintain a natural ecological balance. This realization synchronized with the general belief that reincarnation occurs in every renewing cycles is taught in their mystic institutions of higher learning as a kind of esoteric theory of evolution. To the Indus Valley high-cultured civilizations, Kalima was an archetypical type image of Mother Earth in her dual aspects as womb and tomb. Eternal in the cycle of life, she represents birth and death. So, this is not sissy stuff, it's revolution. In all of the aspects of it is revolution. It is a turnaround in a relatively short period of time. This is the goddess Neith from ancient Kemet. You see? She was a war deity. Neith was a goddess of war and of hunting, and had as her symbol 2 crossed arrows over a shield. Her symbol also identified the city of Sybils. This symbol was displayed on the top of her head in ancient Egyptian art, and her form as a goddess of war. She was said to make the weapons of the warriors and to guard their bodies when they died. Her name also may be interpreted as meaning water. In time, this led to her being considered as the personification of the primordial waters of creation. She is identified as the great mother goddess in the role as a creator. Moving right along, write the name down of that book. That is Mami Wata. She is a high priestess. Her name is Mama Zagbi. The name of the book is Mami Wata, Africa's Ancient Goddess, Unveiled Volume 1, African Scholarship. Reclaiming the ancient Mami Wata Voodoo history and heritage of the diaspora. And in the book, she reacquaints you with the worship of the goddess. She reacquaints you with the worship of nature. That's what voodoo is. Voodoo has gotten a bad name because Hollywood told you voodoo is evil. And all voodoo is your cosmological genetic makeup. It is your cosmological genetic connection to Mother Nature. In nature, we are a manifestation of nature, or as the ancient Egyptians said, the nectars. We are the physical manifestation of the nectar, or the nectaru. And so, as nectars, we have an animal cow. We also have, you understand what I'm saying? You are a powerful force of nature. One of the four elements, one of the four cardinal points, one of the four sons of Heru. Each one of us, and that's why whatever day you're born under a star, you have either an air sign, a water sign, an earth sign, and a fire sign. So depending on when you were born, because you will attract, as we come back into this plane, we are born into the month that we attract by what sign we are, our cosmic signature, if you will. Some of us are fire, some of us are air, some of us are water, and some of us are earth. That's who we really are. We are the gods and goddesses. We are the stars, the sun, and the moon. We are the wind and the rain and the earth. That's who we are. We manifested on this plane. These things are conscious. The rain has a consciousness. The ocean has a consciousness. Everything has consciousness. If it had no consciousness, it wouldn't exist. It is aware of its existence. You see? But because we are so trapped into these many dense forms, we tend to forget. Because of the denseness of our physical composition. Because we are several bodies encased in this particular body. You see? So, Mama Wata. Somebody said he's on fire. Okay. African science, here we go. Before there were race and class wars, the first human factional wars were gender. The first groups to engage in such warfare were Africans. The first level of power in which control was sought was spiritual, economic, and political. Africans possessing the highest levels of spiritual, magical, and mystical power and knowledge for centuries through their ambitious tutelary and clan gods, often competed and waged bitter spiritual warfare of mythological proportion against one another. These divine wars began as one between competing clan gods and soon escalated between what the gods had originally intended. Their first apostasy or fall against the divine African mother appears to have been taking place in ancient Egypt. Historians of ancient Egypt, when describing Egypt's rise as a global military power, often assume an amicable joining of Upper and Lower Egypt under the king Menes, hailing this event as the greatest political achievement in Egyptian history. This monumental event, the claim began the golden age of military conquest and global expansion, and the unchallenged rule of Egypt's patriarchal pharaohs. And according to most, it established Egypt's inviolable position as a legitimate world power. However, that is the view from history provided by the patriarchs. That is the view provided by the history of the patriarchs. Upon closer examination and considering the historical evidence from the view of the matriarchs, indicates that this amicable joining may not have been such a crowning achievement in Egypt's history at all, but rather the opposite. The first Illuminati were not Europeans. They were black folks. They didn't call themselves the Illuminati. They were bent on ruling the world.
Right.
And they were bent on controlling the distribution of knowledge. They made knowledge a secret. And you had to be initiated into the order in order to receive it. And many of the common folk never received this knowledge. It was only reserved for those that were in power, had money, and did the will of the illuminists.
That's right.
The white man just caught on to it and kicked our butts and stole it and copycatted it. The white man ain't that sophisticated. He learned it all from us, even the Illuminati. In spite of Egypt's patriarchal military might, the kings and pharaohs of Egypt still had to calculate to the conquered and declining matriarchs for whom they still must claim their divine blood and spiritual inheritance. This inescapable fact, as well as her exclusive sacerdotal authority and political influence in the world, generated much jealousy, envy, and resentments towards them. That's right. Men got jealous of women, those that was in power, so much that it is alleged that 1,000 years later, as matriarchal rule gave way to the new waves of patriarchal revolt, the powerful priesthoods of Amun, was the Illuminati in that particular day and time. And Khnum and the clans of Horus boldly did something never before imagined. They began evading and usurping the holy temples of these divine African mothers, starting in Thebes, Libya. These are the ruins. They then invaded the usurped the major Sybil temples. Let me stop for a minute. Sybils was your original prophetess. No damn prophets. There were some men who were initiated in the prophetship, because those were the classrooms you had to go. You had 42 years to learn in Egyptian mystery teachings. And to become a prophet was one of them. But the original classroom was dedicated by women, what they call oracles today. They were called Sybils then. And this her story is codified in Greece and Greek history. The Greek history of the Sybils was really about these African mothers, these African women who were the original prophets. That's where the Old Testament comes from. The Old Testament prophecies come from these original African women, and these prophecies were for Africans. Had nothing to do with these other folks. But the knowledge had got lost because of the war perpetrated against the Great Mother, the dismantling of the temples of the Great Mother, and the denouncing of these women who were very powerful. They were the oracle. That's why when you look in the movies of the Matrix, who was the oracle? The black woman, wasn't she? That's right. When you go to the movie Avatar, who was Awa? The Great Mother, right? That's right. White folks know it, we just don't know it. We fighting against what is really ours. We got to take it back.
Yeah, again.
That's what's going to make us powerful again. Now, they then invaded major Sybil temples in Libya and Ethiopia. As a consequence, many of these matriarchal clans fled north and East Africa, taking refuge in the remote, now Grecian islands, countries such as Ionia. That name Ionia also means yoni. How many people know what yoni means? Yoni is the name of the sacred name of the woman's womb. So Ionia and yoni is the same name. Many in Thebes fled to now Grecian islands called Argos, or settled into the ancient African Mitannian kingdom, territories in Asia Minor, Turkey. Many also fled to the now Grecian, Mycenaean, and rebuilt their temples, all continuing their service to Mami. Mami Wata is the same as Isis, or Aset, known to them as the goddess Demeter, and established sacred African society as the Desmophorians. Also the that name is hard to pronounce. So y'all bear with me, okay? Finally, oh wow, supposed to turn that off. Excuse me, y'all. Grand Central Station. I apologize dearly. Go on. Sybils, turn that off for me, please. Just push the red button. Okay. Finally, hundreds, if not thousands, of Sybils and other priestesses opt instead to commit suicide by jumping into the Nile River rather than submit to patriarchal authority. The same women, when they were bringing them to America, they were jumping off the boat rather than to submit again, another time, to another patriarchal system, the white man. Because they had already went to war with their own black man. And they would rather jump into the ocean than submit. You see the greatness of our mother? Our mother is great. Let's go on. Those temple priests of Amen who revolted against them slaughtered the ancestral pantheon of Sybils, a deliberate act of divine warfare that centuries later, the Wegbaja, the first king of the Dahomey, there's a great book out on the Dahomeys. Dahomey is part of the history of the Amazons. The Greek stories about the Amazons is real. It's not mythological, but they hid the story of the African mothers in the so-called mythological stories of the Amazon. That is our history. Greeks never did anything spiritual. And it was African matriarch, men and women, right under the matriarchal rule, that built ancient Greece. And then them savages came and took it over. They didn't have no time. George G.M. James tells us in Stolen Legacy that they were constantly warring with one another. They were constantly looking for little boys to plug in the butt. That's why they called them mentors. A mentor was a white man, an older white guy, who would take a little boy and teach him in the ways of homosexuality. So don't call yourself no mentor. Okay? The first king of Dahomey is alleged to have committed in his takeover of sacerdotalial power against the matriarchal clans in West Africa. After Amun's priests slaughtered the sacred pantheon, they demanded that the separate grand temples be built to Apollo, which was Amun, and Zeus, which is Horus, on top of them. These priests then proceeded to rearrange the cosmological pantheon, placing themselves at the head. A new patriarchal mythos was invented, and sacerdotal doves were replaced with the fiery eagles of Horus. And so now you'll begin to understand why in the Kemetic science we only have historical data up into a certain period of time, somewhere around maybe the 5th century. But it's all dynastic information. None of it is pre-dynastic. We only get the information from when Egypt was already done. That's not the most important part. The most important part was the time period, the 300,000 years of matriarchal rule. Those Cushites who worshiped the great black mama, who were responsible for building the pyramid, star science, mathematics, astrology, astronomy. Why do you think astrology and astronomy has the name AST in it? AST is the goddess of Set. These star sciences was developed by the great black mama. She taught it to the black man. I'm not putting us down. I'm only telling you the truth. Your mama is the first teacher. Now, let's move on. The Sybils, this is an actual statue of one of the Sybils here. They usually knock her crown off of her head. Because these racist Europeans, they go in, and our poor Afrocentric scholars, they have to work with what they have. Dr. Ben and them, they were revolutionary on the battlefield, but yet and still, a lot of them only had to work with what they could get. Because a lot of the information, when those racist beasts went over there, they destroyed a lot of the evidence. And they kept a lot of the evidence in safes and locks in prisons. And they knocked down a lot of the women. They knocked them down. Because if you go into the Bible, matter of fact, the Jews have a law. If you want to take the power from an idol, knock its nose off and its lips. And that's what they did to the statues of the Great Mother and of the women. They made it look like and appear like a patriarchal society, when in fact, ancient Kemet was a matriarch. Pre-dynastic Egypt was a matriarch. The oldest ruling goddess in ancient Kemet in prehistoric time was the goddess Aset, and one was a vulture goddess and the other one was a cobra. And they have survived on the crown of the pharaoh. I didn't bring that information for you today, but let's move on. Okay. The Sybils were then ordered to serve Apollo and the thunder god Zeus, Horus, or Heru, headed by male overseers. The priest then seized control over the Vestals, the virgin priestess, controlling all of their divine functions, especially that of prophecy and healing. Egypt's patriarchal wars began under Pharaoh Menes, vying for total control of their ancient mother's empire across Asia Minor, Libya, Troy, and Italy continued unabated. However, their competitors for these empires were not only other African patriarchs, the white man. He was trying to get a hold of it too. Because this was the power, they all wanted it. You know what I mean? Because the woman was divine, they gave birth. And man got jealous of it. And so he decided he was going to take control of it. Instead of being a righteous man and standing on his square and protecting it. So not all men, but some men. You see? And like I said, if you take hold to this information, then that means you are a returned ancestor who was fighting for the matriarch. If you're fighting against this, nigga, you was one of those that was fighting against the mother. All of those that bang on me, they are returned to fight against and keep the matriarch from returning. There's an all-out war to keep the mother subjugated, to keep the woman in prison, both by whites and also blacks. It don't matter if they black, white, or candy stripe. They have taken an oath not to allow the woman to ever rise again. And it is our duty as returned ancestors, because we once fought this war, and so we will fight it again with our last dying breaths. And that's why I call myself the son of Sekhmet, because I make no apology for the woman being God. I am here to return to fight for my mom and to fight for my queen. I ain't no damn sissy. Okay. However, their competitors for these empires were not only African patriarchs. Egypt had no shortage of enemies, of whom they often waged a constant battle for control, namely the fiercely patriarchal Levitical black Hebrews. Later followed by the Dorian Greeks, and then the Assyrians, the Persians, the White Turks, and finally later the Romans. Yes, the Levitical priesthood was once matriarchal. They worshiped the goddess Asherah or Ishtar. The Canaanites. They once worshiped the goddess, and they were once matriarchal. And a group of them began to fight and destroy the Sybils. And they stole the knowledge from them, and they took the prophecies from the Sybils, and they remade it to subjugate the woman. And that's why when you go in the Bible, you will see laws that were written to subjugate women. In the Holy Temple seized by the priest of Amen, the Tashi, divine power of the African matriarchs had long ago departed. Each temple was soon plagued. See, that's Hathor. She is the only goddess you'll see with pillars in ancient Kemet. No other god, male or female, has these columns. Only she. Each temple was soon plagued by spiritual and political corruption, commercialization, internal power struggles, and sexual abuse. That's right, sexual abuse. These crimes further aided to devalue and undermine the Sybils' exclusive authority as the original and divine mouthpieces of the goddess. Christianity, now we come to this part. Christianity and Judaism is the destruction of the matriarchy and the great black mama. The Bible was written as a way to destroy and stomp out all of the evidence of the mother. I just took you through the words the devil and showed you how they took devil from the word Devi. Devi means goddess. And that's why even in the story of Adam and Eve, Eve is a political construct to subjugate the woman. That's why the word Eve, when you think of Eve, you think of evil. You think of seductress. You think of a woman, you can't trust her ass. You see? And many women have become distrustful because they bought into these lies. You see? So the Bible, when you decode it, you will see right inside of it, it was the war perpetrated on the great mother. Religion is the male domination of the world and the war against mama. This is an actual, although it's a cartoon, it is a factual actuality of what was taking place. And the king set a graven image of Asherah, and that he had made in the house of which the Lord said to David and Solomon his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of the tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever. That is the Shira. In the Bible, there are several mentions of her. When God tells the chosen people to go and destroy the people and destroy all of the idols, that's who they're talking about. They're talking about destroying the temples and the idols of the Great Mother. Asherah is arguably the most important goddess in the Canaanite pantheon, the prototypical mother of gods and the humans and the consort of the chief god El. She is also the mistress of the sea and land, protector of all living things. We have long known Asherah from the immense library of the 13th century cuneiform tablets found in Syria at the site of Argari. But there are also more than 40 references to Asherah in the Old Testament. More than 40 references to her. What could she have meant to the people of the monotheistic ancient Israel? A bit too much. Apparently, at least according to the authors of the biblical text, who attacked her relentlessly, they praised Asa, king of Judah, in 911 to 870 BC, for removing his mother, Ma'akah, from the official duties after she had an abominable image made of Asherah. You can find that in 1 Kings 15:13 and Chronicles 2 Chronicles chapter 15 verse 6. They condemned the long reigning Manasseh of Judah for doing what was evil in the sight of the Lord in making an Asherah, 2 Kings 2:21-7, and they triumphed the achievements of Josiah, including the destruction of offerings made to Asherah at the temple of Jerusalem, the abolish of Asherah from the house of the Lord. That's what the Bible says there. And the demolition of a shrine there in which women did weaving for Asherah, 2 Kings 23. These passages reflect both the worship of Asherah and the efforts to stomp out her coat during the Iron Age. But it was only in the succeeding Persian period after the fall of Judah in 586 BC and the exile in Babylon that Asherah virtually disappeared. Ultimately, the campaign to eliminate the goddess has failed. Asherah was buried long ago by the establishment, declares respected biblical scholar William H. Denver. Now archaeology has excavated her. Denver is quite certain that he knows who Asherah of ancient Israel and of the biblical text is. She is the wife and consort of Yahweh. That's right. Yahweh had a wife. You see? And the God of Israel, the one God of Israel. Many of his colleagues would agree. Islam. Now we come to the payoff. Islam is the destruction of the matriarchy and the great black mama. In more ancient times, Arabia was part and parcel of Africa. I'm going to first of all show you that this was Africans. This had nothing to do with crackers. As a matter of fact, even in geographical terms, the Arabian Peninsula was originally connected to the African continent, and there was not the Red Sea. And even when the Red Sea came about, it was referred to as the Ethiopian Sea or the African Sea until very recent times. The Arabian Desert is merely an extension of the Sahara Desert of continental Africa. Drusilla Dungy Houston. How many people know who she is? Get her book.
The Wonderful Ethiopians.
The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire. 1924, she wrote the book. She was one of the first black Afrocentric scholars to write a book. Matter of fact, it was the first. Before Dr. Ben and all of them. You don't hear about her. She was the first. A black woman. A black mother. That's right. Drusilla Dungy Houston wrote that in general features, Arabia resembles the African Sahara, of which it is but a continuation. Its general characteristics are African. Arabia was originally colonized by black Africans in ancient times. Arabia was actually a colonial possession of global and super civilization of Kush and Ethiopia, which ruled the entire world in very ancient times. Drusilla Dungy Houston wrote that Arabia was once a portion of the ancient Kushite Empire. So black African and Negroid was ancient Arabia, and some Western scholars with a racist twist formally claimed that Arabia Peninsula was the homeland of black African race. We talk about the Arabs all the time. The Arabs were black Africans, the original ones. The first Arab Arabs to settle in the Arabian Peninsula were originally black Africans who came from West Africa, the heart of Africa. These aboriginal black African Arabs were Kushite Ethiopians who came to colonize Arabia in those days when Africa expanded and spread put of West Africa to conquer and rule the entire world. Drusilla Dungy Houston wrote that to the Kushite race belonged to the oldest and purest Arabian blood. They were the original Arabians and the creators of the ancient civilization, evidence of which may be seen in stupendous ruins to be found in every part of the country. Genetic markers have also shown that Arabs and black African people were once one and the same single people. Ugu Iji Ufu Anu wrote that various studies have confirmed that the interrelatedness of Arab populations, including Palestinians, Jordanians, Syrians, Iraqis, and Bedouin, and their African neighbors, Well-known genetic markers connect Arabs, especially those of Yemen and Oman, which is another name for Amen, very closely with African populations living here in East and Equatorial Africa. Okay, so I just established for you, and I gave you the references where you can go back and check. So don't say Natural Tahuti made it up. One of our great scholars, Drusilla Dungy Houston, Ashe, gave us the understanding that those Arabs were black folks, and they were bent on controlling the world. The black Illuminatis. The central theme of the original Kushite Arabian cosmology, long before the coming of the violent flood of Aram, the ancient deities of the Arabian cosmology, like other Kushite civilizations, were of maternal descent. The supreme symbol in the land was a huge black stone, probably a meteorite. For Dr. Yusuf bin Jakanin informs us that black stones remains from a meteorite, was imported into Arabia by the Africans of Ethiopia, the Abyssinians, when they ruled Arabia and Persia and all the way into India to the Ganges. And that's that black stone which you can find remnants of the black stone not only in Arabia, you can find it in Ethiopia. There are several different places where you can find this stone, the Kaaba. Later Islamic Arabs called this venerated object the Kaaba. In Kushite Arabian cosmological science, this black stone represented the navel of the universe, which fell to earth from the belly of the cosmic mother, creatress known to them as Ata, and at other times as Allah. Again, Dr. Ben Jakanin instructs us that. Dr. Ben said it. I didn't say it. Dr. Ben said it. So don't accuse Natural Tahuti of it. I just gave you more references. The worship of, this is Dr. Ben's words. These are his words. The worship of El Kaaba, whom the people of Arabia worship along with the goddess Allah, was extremely important since Muhammad's family worshiped both El Kaaba and Allah. Note that the name Allah was the origin of the later word Allah. Now, I didn't say that. Dr. Ben said it. You got beef with me? Take it up with Dr. Ben.
Let's do that.
Right. Before Islam, the shrine's guardians were females. Priestesses called Bapti Sheba, for you Rastafarians. Sheba. Daughters of the ancient wise woman. Bathsheba means daughter of Sheba, a priestess from the house of Sheba. See on Allah's headdress that the house of Sheba, her famous cube shrine in Mecca, they still keep her shrine cube shaped and still walk around it in doves. You see? Like how they do it now in Mecca, That's what the priestess were doing. They were walking around the Kaaba. That was way before they got there. Way before the Muslims got there. They walked around it in gold, just like they did in their goddess worshiping days. Now look on top of her head. That's the goddess Alat. What do you see on top of her head? The goddamn Kaaba! Got nothing to do with no damn Islam. You see that right there? That's the caressing of the moon. And you see that right there? That's her goddamn womb. Let's move on. Barbara Walker. Write this down. When the Woman Was God by Barbara Walker. Put that on your study list. She's a European, but she is she was advised by Ishaka Musa Shango and other African scholars have used her work. Although they are the more progressive Europeans, we always still have to interpolate it by studying African cosmology from a Kushite and Kemetic perspective. Yet and still, she brought a lot of truth to the table. And Barbara Walker relates, before Islam arrived in the 7th century AD, Arabia was matriarchal. And over 1,000 years of recorded history, the annals of Asherah and Yahweh said Arabia was governed by queens for as long as anyone could remember. The land's original Allah was Alat. At Mecca, the goddess was Shaiba. That's the Arabic. Shaiba, Shaiba, Shaiba. Or Sheba for the Rastafarian. That's her nickname. The goddess Alat's nickname is Sheba. So don't tell me that the goddess is some mythological being. Because I'm talking about our actual mothers that walk the damn earth. Although Alat represents the cosmological great portion of the universe, or the creation of the universe, the power of the universe, that power of the universe made itself manifested in a walking, talking, breathing black woman who we all manifested from out of her loins. So spiritually, we all are one on the spiritual side of things. Man, woman, same thing. But when it came to the physical body, the black woman was created proportionally greater. Brothers say, well, damn, Tahuti, that's not African. Where's the duality? They say, damn, Tahuti, where's the duality? Duality only exists within the reality of the Trinity. The hell was the Trinity for? What about the Trinity? Past, present, and future. Right? Man, woman, child, right? Sun, moon, stars, right? You got right and left. You got up and down. Right? In order to have right and in order to have left, you got to have what is called a fulcrum point. The fulcrum point is the center, because all things always point center. That's why the ancestors had that circle with that little black dot in it, and they said that was the creator, because all things always point to the center. Because in order to have right and in order to have left, you got to have the fulcrum point, which is called and, left and right, but the and, you perceive it not with your physical eye, because it is invisible. That's why you went into the mystery teaching to initiate, to learn about the unseen, or learn about your real self, if you will, your inner self, if you will, your God self, if you will. So we are only made equal with your God nature. But as a physical man, you can never be goddamn equal to a woman. Why would you want to be? She makes babies, you don't. So in proportion, she has to be made and created much larger. She has a larger duty. Well, they say, well, you know what? Women don't rule, man rules. Man is powerful. Women are weak. Men are weak. Women are weak. No, the hell they're not. They are constitutionally stronger. I just showed you that the X chromosome, and I showed you the Y chromosome. You see what I'm saying to you? I showed you all of that. So now you won't start to equate your brutal strength with constitutional strength. And you know when you see a little ugly ass baby, you say, damn, that's only a child and a mother can love.
Oh, man.
I'm sorry to say, but we all do it. Don't sit here in front like you don't say, damn, hey, ugly, that ain't my baby. You know what I mean? Only a mother could love that child because the mother has built within her that unconditional love. Yeah, there are some women who lost their goddamn African mind. Of course. Just because I said the black woman is God don't mean that these women out here are living God. It's their nature to be God. Their nature is God. Your nature is God too. You are the son of God in this particular body. You see what I'm saying to you? But some of us are goddamn fools. So because we have lost our African way, we have to come back to our African way. And again, that's revolution. So strap up your boots, put on your black suit, and salute. And let's get involved. Let's get involved in the struggle. I don't want to just be coming here doing lectures. I want you to get involved in your neighborhood. I want you to get involved in your family life. I want you women to use your womb not as a tomb to destroy men, but utilize your womb to resurrect these fallen black men. And you black men, serve your divine woman. Love her unconditionally. She is worthy of it. You see? Let's move on. So, and by the way, those claps are not for me. That's for the Spirit of God that is moving through me. Right? I don't take credit for this. It's not my knowledge. I'm not bigger than you. You're not bigger than me. It's not no big eyes and no small U's in this room. You see, I'm your humble servant. That's my job, to serve you. So, at Mecca, the goddess was Sheba, that's in the Arabic, and Sheba, that's the Hebrew. The old woman, worshipped as a black iconic stone. And the same black stone now enshrined in the Kaaba at Mecca was her feminine symbol marked by the sign of the yoni and covered like the ancient mother by a veil. That's why they put that black veil over it. So I just showed you right here once again, just to revisit that. When you look at her, you see that the Kaaba is right on her head. So originally, the Kaaba had nothing to do with no damn Allah and the worship of some male deity named Allah. It was the worship of the great black mama by the name of Allah, whose nickname was Sheba. Now, I showed you here that before Islam, the shrines guardians were female priestess called Bathsheba. Now, look at these damn pervert homosexuals. I'm sorry, little one. She laughing. I'm sorry. I gotta go in, though. I'm sorry. If I get carried away, just stop me sometime. Sometimes when the spirit be moving me, I just keep going. But I do have respect for my little people. just 1,400 years ago, Muslims took control of the goddess Mecca shrine away from the priestess of Allah, whom they slaughtered. They slaughtered them. It was both African men and some of those half-breeds. And some of them were crackers. Woo. They were all mixed up together. But to this day, the men who guarded the Kaaba shrine are still called the sons of the ancient woman. To this day, in Mecca, these priests, these imams, are called sons of Sheba. In Arabic, they call them Bini Sheba. Go research it. Evidence. Goddess Salat had a nickname or extra title, Sheba, pronounced Sheba, meaning the wise woman, or she of the ancient wisdom. Huh? Fascinating. Because now we get into the payoff. The original black African Arabs of Arabia, part 4, the black stone, the black tribe of the Kross, the black prophet by Ugu Iji Ofu Anu. Although some Muslim hadiths assert that Abraham, the ancestor of the Adiyam tribe of the Arabs, had built up the Kaaba with the help of his son Ismail or Ismaili upon the instructions of Allah. More academically inclined, historians generally accepted that at the time Muhammad began his preaching, there was no recollection of any Abraham, nor Adiyam, nor Ishmael who purportedly built the Kaaba. There was instead a living tradition of matriarchal goddess worship and rites dating back to the ancestral Ethiopian Kush, where matriarchal goddesses have been worshipped in its most developed form since the beginning of time. The city of Mecca was considered a holy place and the destination of pilgrims long before Prophet Muhammad. Kushite black Arabs and other Arabized tribes would bring yearly offerings to the Kaaba or make pilgrims as part of a pattern of Kushitic religious rites which venerated the matriarchal deity of Mecca, Allah. Muhammad's new religion, which had emphasized the mythological masculine ancestor Abraham, together with his Hebrew male proto-god, was antithetical to all known traditions of Mecca. The basic issue between Muhammad and his Kross prosecutors, who drove his ass out of Mecca, was that he had preached an alien and foreign philosophy, which they could not understand nor tolerate. Most of Muhammad's own tribes, the Kross, keepers of the Kaaba, officiated over the worship of the Kushitic originated goddess Allah. This is the reason why they had a war in Mecca, because they couldn't tolerate what he was bringing. They didn't understand it. So now we get to understand more. And I showed you in the language of Arabic that the name Allah was before Allah. And even the name Allah is a feminine name. I showed that to you. Uh-oh. I messed this up, but I'll fill it in for you. Okay, we come to this part. The laws of nature is a matriarch. And this is where we're going with this. We have to return back to a matriarchal if we want to save this planet. Because patriarchy is destroying it. I need to say this on camera, because I'm not scared. They got a lot of these guys out here. Some of them, y'all know them. And some of us, we follow them, because we think they got some high-powered science. And one of them go by the name of Dr. Phil Valentine. Dr. Phil Valentine is a misogynist. I said it. I want you to hear me. Dr. Phil Valentine is a misogynist. And he is against the return of the Great Mother. Otherwise, I wouldn't even bring it up. So I need to put these people on blast real quick. Because they call conscious pimps. They want a place in their daddy's house. They want to keep control. Because they know that the gross national product, GNP, is the woman who spends all the money. Dr. Phil Valentine said that 85% of his followers are women. So a guy like Tahuti coming along talking about freeing up the woman, of course these guys got an issue with me. The man called me a damn agent. And he's correct. I am an agent. Badge number 0046. I'm an agent for the black woman. That's who I am. You see, I'm here to fight for the black woman and put her back on her throne. But these people who cast stones, you gotta be very careful of them. He also said that when women read books, they lose vitamin A. People say things and we just go for it. Because the man is very brilliant. Just want to take time to do this real quick. He's very brilliant. I commend him. Very brilliant man. But that's the problem with brilliancy. Brilliancy is so bright. The light of brilliancy is so bright that people can actually baffle you with their bullshit if you don't pay attention. I don't want you to believe nothing that Tahuti said tonight. I want you to go and research it for yourself. I can give you all of the information and the books and everything that I've done to go research it. Well, I've researched vitamin A, and it does cause an eyesight deficiency, night blindness. And it happens in most developed countries. But guess who has an abundance of vitamin A? The CDC says that black women have an abundance of vitamin A. So I asked Dr. Phil Valentine, where the hell did you get such garbage? The white man, once upon a time, wouldn't even let us read a goddamn book. Why would you tell the people that women shouldn't read books? Huh? You don't want her to become powerful? You want to control her? Okay? I have no issues with that, man. I'm not jealous, none of that. I care less about money. I care less about a popularity contest. But it's the Dr. Khalid Muhammad in me. It's the Nat Turner in me that makes me want to speak up to garbage. And I don't feel, it don't matter if people say, you know, because he got a lot of personality worshipers. It don't matter if they don't follow Tahuti. That's right. I don't care about that. I care about restoring my mother. I'm coming here to do a job that I was sent here to do. I truly, hopefully, and soulfully believe that I have been divinely inspired to teach what I do. Now, move right along, since I got that out the way. Research it. Go read books, men and women. Educate yourself. In the words of my brother, Sarah Sutton, bang on that wicked-ass beast in education, through confrontation, and also education will be our liberation. Okay? Now, this is a symbol of the great mother and the womb and the serpent and all of these. I just put this picture here to take you through that nature represents a matriarchy. Okay? Matriarchy is the law of nature, while patriarchy is based on heaven-sent laws. Patriarchy is where the man is the total ruler and God is an abstract being who lives outside of the creation. An absolute abstraction. Wow. Not a part of the creation. They tell you that Allah is greater than the creation. Wow. They tell you that Allah is outside of the creation. There's nothing in creation like Allah. You see? So it's based upon us giving up our spirituality to some abstract ideal and some lawmaker that sits somewhere that we will never have any understanding of. That's what patriarchy is, where the man becomes the dominant ruler and the woman, she must suffer the blood of the man and she must submit to the man no matter what. Right. That is what patriarchy is. Now, when I say matriarchy, most people think I'm saying the opposite, where the woman is the controller and the ruler and all of that other stuff. It's not what matriarchy is. Matriarchy is Mayat. That's why it starts with Ma. You see, matriarchy is Mayat. Because Mayat is the goddess. It is the law of nature. The laws of nature teaches matriarchy. When you look at the bee kingdom, right? The dominant being in the bee kingdom is the queen bee. The worker bees are all female. There's no such thing as a male worker. Go study it. Watch National Geographics. The only males, they're called drones. And sad to say, they're surplus and killed. After they do their job, they're done with it. It's cold-blooded. Like the widow's black spider.
Right.
Once the male, do his thing, she knock him off. He's done with it.
Keep him alive.
You got 8.4 million living entities on the planet. Living aquatics, plant life, all of these different living entities. And there are always more females than there are males. Because the female is the norm. Male is a rare occasion. Because I just showed you that we start off as a female. You have a gene, woman has a gene called WNT4. WNT4 blocks male development. So it is a rare occasion when SRY, which is testosterone, secretes making a male. And that's why crib deaths, what they call SAD, I think it's called SAD or SID, mostly all of the male children, you hardly see females dying. It's the males that die. And what's this other occurrence that happens? But it's mostly the males. So if you're a man and you are here, consider yourself divinely here. Consider yourself to be lucky that you are here. You see? So you are here for a divine reason. That don't make us less. We got to get out of that mess. That is European. That's not the way Africans think. See, we're thinking with a European mind. You understand? When I say the woman is this and that, we say, well, what about me? That's ego. Ego is easing God out.
That's right.
Every time you're in ego, remember that you're easing God out the equation. You're easing out the mother. Okay? Matriarchy is feeling. Matriarchal is feeling. Get in touch with your emotions. Most of us men don't get in touch with emotion. We say that the woman is emotionally weak. Lies. Yes, she's emotional. Yes, she'll go off. You know? Especially when she's not in her higher self. She's just acting out her lower nature. But she's emotional because emotion is attached to the spirit. That's why women have these feelings. Don't go outside tonight, son. Her psychic abilities is her emotion. You're blocking your emotion. Men are crippled by emotion. I'll give you a fine example. You cheat on your wife, right? She catch you down there with Sister Mary from the church. You up in there, you know Sister Mary. She wearing little skirts up the hair and always hooping and hollering in the church. And she got you aroused, and you go ahead on and cheat with her. And your sacred woman set catches you in the act of cheating with Sister Mary. You know she gonna throw a brick through your car. She gonna burn up your clothes. You ain't gonna get no food, and you gonna either get kicked out of the house or you're gonna be on the couch for months. Right? But after all that, she gonna break down. Okay, Daddy. And she will love you. She will still love you. Yo, do you understand how awesome that is? That is awesome. don't belittle it. We belittle it because we say, yeah, she's still on my thing, yeah, she's still on me, you know? But really, that's an awesome thing, man, that we as men have to learn. So now, opposite situation.
She gonna die.
Your wife is at home, and Brother Charles, right? Brother Charles, you know, he just came from Ashanti. He's a Mandingo. He's a Mandingo. Because listen, all men are not created equal. Some of us are like this, some of us are like this. But you know what I'm talking about.
That's the St. John.
So, yes. So, Brother Charles come, and you got an inkling. You going to work every day, you paying the bills. But your wife ain't acting right. She ain't gave you nothing in a long time. So you double back. You say, I got it. You double back. And you sneak, put your key in the door, and you sneak up the stairs. And here go Brother Charles. This long. And you catch it. You gonna kill her? You gonna kill Brother Charles? And you might kill your damn self. Because you know you're going to jail after that. Because we can't take it. Man, my woman cheat, I can't take it. I can cheat all day long. Oh, baby, please forgive me. And she forgive you time after time after time. She's awesome. She cheat one time. If I forgive her, she ain't gonna never live it down. I'm gonna always, yeah, that's why you cheated with Brother Charles. And y'all know what I'm saying to be true. So men are really crippled by emotion. We need to get more in touch with our emotion. And it's an awesome thing when you can actually feel and begin to expand your consciousness by getting in touch with your femininity. Not your faggotry, that's European. I'm talking about your African femininity, your African mind that brings about the duality within the Trinity, that brings about the balance in the yin and the yang. It's called Zen. You don't have yin or yang without Zen. Get into it. So, matriarchy is feeling, while patriarchy is rationalist, rationalizing. You see, the woman feels it. She knows it to be real because she feels the spirit. She moving by the spirit. The spirit invoked her. Those that are on a higher plane, when we are really living within our African mindset. I ain't talking about women that ain't living in their African mindset. Come on. Don't accuse me of that. And you gotta be a little bit more sharp in that. We talking about people who got knowledge of themselves. We talking about people who is conscious. So, matriarchy is passive, acceptance of nature, while patriarchy controls nature. We want to lord over the damn animals. We want to control the animals. You got the damn white man wanting to put the animals in the zoo. That's patriarchy for you. He wants to control everything. That's not God. God is in tune with everything. Acceptance of nature. Accepts things the way they are. You know, in my practice as a certified alcohol and substance abuse counselor, I used to always teach my clients that when you're going through some pain in your life and somebody did you wrong, you're going to continue to go through pain as long as you identify with what the person done to you. Because you victimize yourself. You're not being able to process your feelings in a healthy manner. You have to come to a point of self-acceptance of the part you played. So when you begin to identify with the part you played, you get in touch with your feelings, you come to a place of self-acceptance, and then and only then will you be able to move on. That's what it's all about, processing these things. And so in order for us to do that, we got to get in touch with the feminine side. But we want to control the emotion. You see? Even when we have sex sometimes, we got to control it. Because we know we might lose control. Yeah? You don't want to moan and groan because you might think it make you sound like a sissy. Oh,
Got me.
Some women love it. They say, oh, he's sensitive. Yo, now you know why the brothers is mad with me, right? You know why they kicked me out the boys club. See, I'm telling the secrets, and I'm getting in tune with the feminine part, so they say, oh, Tahuti's a homo. You know what I mean? But come on, man. This is what real men do. This is what real men do. Revolutionaries. Right, but real revolutionaries do. Thank you. So we look at the queen ant. The same drama goes on with the queen ant. Last one. I know we've been talking for a long time, and I want to take a break. And we can get some questions and answers and go home, whatever. And I enjoyed myself here. Question. What is the role of the old female elephant in elephant society? Elephants live in a social hierarchy dominated by the older females. Females travel in long-lasting social units of about half a dozen adult females and their offspring, with the unit being led by the single older female, the matriarch. Males do not maintain long-term social bonds, remaining in the unit only into their teens. They then live out their lives in loose bachelor groups or wandering on their own. To test the importance of the age of the female leader of the individual units, researchers from the University of Sussex and the Institution of Zoology in London and the Elephant Research Project in Kenya used high-powered hi-fi equipment to play back the sounds of elephant calls. Calls from complete elephant strangers prompt the mothers to cluster around their young defensively, while familiar calls were ignored. The units led by the oldest matriarchs, those with the most experience, were best able to distinguish between friends and those that might present problems by harassing calves or start disputes. If these key individuals cannot immediately distinguish between potential threats, their families may spend too much time being defensive and not enough time responding. In fact, the scientists found the age of the matriarch to be a significant predictor, of the number of calves produced by the family per female reproductive year. These findings present important implications for their conservation of elephants because older, larger animals are more likely to be the target for hunters and poachers, and killing these individuals could weaken the entire family for years on. And so it is the oldest female lion elephant who is the leader of the pack. And even in the Lion Kingdom and that's a special one. I forgot to put the picture up there, but I wanted to show you the hyena. The hyena's female, this is crazy. I was like, wow. The hyena's, the female, her clitoris is bigger than the male's penis. You almost couldn't distinguish which one is which. But I just showed you all of that just to show you that matriarchy is the dominant, and goddess worshiping is not for sissies. If you are a sissy, a punk, homosexual, go back to the penis worship section. We worship the yoni over here, homie. All right, and this ain't for sissy. This is for revolutionaries. So I say to all of y'all out there, resurrect your spirituality, resurrect your magic, resurrect your voodoo, resurrect your name, resurrect your cosmic signature, but for no minute forget your goddamn hammer. Get you a hammer, because it's hammer time. If you don't get you a hammer, you might not survive the upcoming war. This is war and revolution, and it is not for sissies. Arm your men, arm your women, and arm your children. Everyone is accountable for this war. There will be no sitting back home because you wear a skirt. You are on the front line too. When the Americans fought the Vietnamese kicked their butt. You know why? They wasn't ready for women and children being involved in the war. They wasn't ready for that. We the only ones talking about, oh, Tahuti want to put the woman on the line. He want to hide behind the woman. That's some coward stuff. And the woman should be in the house cooking and cleaning. No! Every hand and available body on deck. And whatever you can do the best, that will be your job. If you're a healer, you're on the front line. But even the healer gotta have a hammer. Because while you over there healing, the enemy may roll up and you may have to shoot him. Don't just say, oh, we got magic. You know, in this conscious community, they done got all crazy. They following Bobby Hammond and the rest of them quacks, those spook doctors who are robbing the people of their money and telling you all you need is your magic. Well, damn it, you had magic when you was in the slave ship. And the white man kicked your butt. So, Natu Tahuti, the general, a.k.a. the son of Sekhmet, a.k.a. the seed of Kalima, says, get you a damn hammer. And with that, my people, I'm glad I came here. I love you. And Black Power. Peace.
You just playing boss. Pop him in his head, Frey on his corpse, knee on his neck and his sternum. Asking for forgiveness when I'm done, I'ma burn him. You dancing with the demons. You ain't a boss, you just playing boss. Pop him in his head, Frey on his corpse, knee on his neck and his sternum. Asking for forgiveness when I'm done, I'ma burn him. You dancing with the demons. You ain't a boss, you just playing boss. Pop him in his head, Frey on his corpse, knee on his neck and his sternum. Asking for forgiveness when I'm done, I'ma burn him. You dancing with the demons. You ain't a boss, you just playing boss. Pop him in his head, Frey on his corpse, knee on his neck and his sternum. Asking for forgiveness when I'm done, I'ma burn him. You dancing with the demons. You ain't a boss, you just playing boss.